Hi, everybody. Jim Gramm here for Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks. On the line joining me, we have a special guest. She will be fighting at RFA 19 on October 10th in Minnesota. She is Rocky Magdaleno. And Rocky, thanks for joining us on Beyond the Cage.
Thank you for having me.
Now, I saw on Facebook that you are originally from the UP of Michigan, and I was wondering, how long did you stay up there?
Well, when I was born in California, and my dad got a job at the UP. I moved there in fourth grade, and then graduated high school, went to wrestling in college in California, then I moved back to the UP. So I've kind of been all over the place, but...
That's a pretty drastic change going from California to the UP. Talk about culture clash. Oh,
absolutely. My dad's Mexican and my mom's Irish, so... We literally, there's one other Hispanic family in the entire town when we moved there. So it was definitely a culture shock.
Now, did you prefer living in California? Did you like living up in the UP?
I like living in the UP. I mean, personally, I actually like living in Milwaukee, but the UP is nice. It's so safe. You can go hiking, you can go kayaking, you can go portailing. You know, I like the outdoor stuff. The city is nice, but I can only take about 3 or 4 weeks for that, and then I need to get back in the woods.
Now, besides like wrestling, was there any other martial art that you started training before you got into MMA?
No, not at all. I actually played basketball. That was like my heart. Unfortunately, I'm only 4'10", so I didn't get very far. But no, I did basketball, softball, track, and wrestling. That was it. I started a cardio kickboxing class about 3 or 4 years ago up in the UP, and I fell in love with the boxing. And basically, my brother kind of convinced me, hey, MMA is like wrestling, but you can punch too. I was like, okay, I'll try it.
And is that what got you into MMA, or had you seen the sport kind of prior to that?
No, I actually didn't hear or see it or anything. My brother started doing it, and I still wasn't interested, and started that cardio kickboxing class, and they were trying to get a good hometown fight going, market it very well, and they're like, hey, we can market you and your brother pretty good. So I think we almost sold out of that stadium. My first fight was like 3,000 people were there, I think.
Now, when did you make the move to Milwaukee to train with Duke Roufus and all those guys there?
I made the move last March, so I've been here for a year and a half, a little over a year and a half.
Now, what's it like on a daily basis? Obviously, as I said, you got the coach Duke Roufus, and you got Anthony Pettis, his brother Sergio, Ben Askren, a whole bunch of other guys that have come through the RFA and the UFC there. I mean, does that just help you out so much on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, you know, it just puts it in perspective. Like, everyone starts from the same spot, you know. They were, unfortunately, I'm 30, so I just started a little bit later, but I feel better now than I did 10 years ago. But, you know, they all started here. You know, it takes time. You have to work your way up. You got to promote. You got to, you know, get better and everything. I actually just got done with wrestling practice with Ben. I came straight home for this interview. Well, I went to chiropractor in between. But, yeah, it puts it in perspective. You know, you see them on TV a lot. You see all the hype about them. And then you go to practice and you see they're doing the same thing as you. You know, so it kind of gives you a good feeling inside that I'm in the right spot.
Now, speaking of Roufus Sport, of course, Anthony Pettis got to be one of the coaches on this current season of the Ultimate Fighter 20. They had the premiere episode last Wednesday. I was wondering, did you watch last Wednesday for the premiere?
Absolutely. I will watch. I don't have cable at my house because I'm never really here, so I find different places to go and watch it. But yeah, I watched it last week. It was pretty exciting.
Now, as a fighter looking to get into the UFC and kind of be where some of these girls are at, the strawweight division coming in, is that kind of, are you a little envious at all of seeing these girls compete for a world championship on the show?
You know, just slightly, but really, that's just not my cup of tea, just going and living in a house. Like, I don't think I would have made it Kind of just like my own environment, being in my own space. It is a little bit envious, but my time will come. You know, I think all these ladies still have a lot more experience. I wrestled my whole life, but I've only been doing kickboxing for a year and a half. I've only been doing jiu-jitsu for a year and a half. So I think that it is a little bit envious. It's more exciting. I'm glad that these women are the ones that are paving that path for me. Cause I mean, yeah, Ronda Rousey, she's amazing and everything, but she's, 30-pound heavier weight class than me. So I think that these are the best women they could have used to promote us.
Now, you fought some at 115, some at 105. Is there a weight class you prefer?
Well, when I first started, my first fight was at 120, and then it started getting to 115. I haven't had any fights at 105. It's just that when I weigh in at 115, I don't really cut any weight, and then it just seems like the girls are just way bigger than me. So I just figured, the weight cut should be a little bit hard. So this is going to be my first time going to 105. It's going to be hard, I think. But I wouldn't want it any other way.
Now, speaking of 105, the Invicta 105 champion, she is Michelle Waterson, and she just recently defended her title not too long ago. And I was wondering, did you get a chance to see her fight? And if not, what do you think about Michelle Waterson as kind of the number one 105 fighter?
I actually had to work that night, but I did bring my iPad into work, and I do have Fight Pass, so I kind of played it at my bar whenever I wasn't busy. I was watching it. Wasn't her fight or the last fight where they had like a glitch? Because my iPad glitched. I didn't know if it was just my service, but I watched pretty much. I told everyone that they could wait for their drinks for 5 minutes. After I watched hers, I loved her clinch and her knees and her just keeping the distance and keeping it standing. It was a beautiful fight. I was totally excited for her. I think she just did everything that she needed to do to secure that win.
Now, of course, your fight will be for RFA coming up here, but is Invicta an organization you would like to fight for somewhere down the line?
Absolutely. I think Invicta is the UFC for a women's federation. Anybody that can get me a better fight each fight, I'm willing to go with. To me, it doesn't really matter which federation I'm in, as long as I'm fighting and I'm having a better opponent each time. Invicta, yeah, I would love it. Or whatever my manager and coach think is what I'm going to do.
Jim Gramm talking with Rocky Magdaleno here on Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks. And as I mentioned, you'll be fighting with RFA for RFA 19 on October 10th. And what does it mean to you to have a fight with an organization like the RFA?
It's pretty surreal. I mean, I've been fighting for the NAFC and Drilla for the last year and a half. But I mean, RFA, it's on TV. I mean, to me, I don't really care about being on TV, but, everyone just hypes it up that much more. Like, I have more fans coming to Minnesota to watch the fight because it's going to be on TV. I'm not sure if my fight will be or not, but it is surreal. Like, I never thought that a year and a half later I'd already be this far.
Now, you said, maybe the TV doesn't matter too much to you, but if you have a good performance, go in there, get a win or get a finish, and potentially that fight getting shown, nationwide on Access TV. I mean, does that kind of help you in your motivation and preparation for the fight?
Oh, absolutely. And if I do perform good and I do get, I get people to recognize me a little bit more, maybe I can get some sponsors so I don't have to work full time. That would be perfect if I could just train all the time. But I do have a 40-plus hour job that I bartend at nighttime, so it is takes a toll on my body. It's really nice to get some sponsors and be able to just train and rest right, get my body right, and keep my injuries at a minimum.
Now, your opponent at RFA 19 is Cassie Rodish, and what can you tell us about her? The first couple opponents I had that I did research on,
I just psyched myself out. I really did. So, like, I don't like to do any kind of research. From what people have told me, she's a stand-up fighter. She's good. So, I mean, I'm not going to go in there. I'm going to go in there with, with as much aggression as I can. I'm pretty sure she's a stand-up fighter and she's a kicker. She has good low kicks, someone told me. But my brother's going to do the research on her, and then he's just going to tell me my game plan, and we're going to work on that in the next 2 weeks.
So does that seem to be a way you kind of game plan and prepare for fights? Like you said, not to psych yourself out, have like your brother or some of the coaches kind of help you and take your training in that certain direction to help you best beat a certain opponent?
Yeah, that's how I've done it with, I think, my last 4 or 5 fights. I have my brother and my coaches watch and then tell them what they think, and they'll give me a few little ideas, and I like to just start off my camp working on what I want to work on, how to get better, and then like maybe the last 3 weeks, then we'll start working on more things, maybe geared to her game plan. But I basically want to control the pace and the fight, and I want to fight my fight, and I want to control it. So hopefully that's going to be the way it goes.
Now, looking over RFA 19 as a whole, are there any other fights you're looking forward to watching kind of as a fan?
Well, of course, all my SAG guys, my management group, all the guys that I've been seeing and fighting with for the last year and a half, Kyle Todd, and one of my teammates is fighting a SAG guy too. Jordan Griffin is fighting Dan Moray. That's going to be an exciting fight. Pretty much just people that I know personally. Those are the people that I'm going to be rooting for. Carl Beaton and John Castaneda. So, yeah, those are the guys I'm going to be rooting for.
She is Rocky Magdaleno. You can watch her fight on RFA 19 on October 10th from Minnesota on Access TV. And Rocky, thanks for coming on the show. Really appreciate it, and look forward to watching you fight on October 10th.
Thank you so much. I appreciate having me.
Once again, that was Rocky Magdaleno right here on Beyond the Cage, presented by Fight Chicks.